Yo, 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 welcome to Starbucks. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati. We are live in Dallas from the MLB Winter Meetings. What's up, Jim?
What's going on? Good morning. It is early here.
Yeah.
As you can see, it is packed.
You got to realize we're also on Central Time. So it's 7 o'clock for you. It is 6 o'clock for us.
Yeah. Monday morning, Winter Meetings. We were doing this exact same show last year, and we were all just pretty much waiting on Shohei Ohtani to do something before really anything else happened. Here we are this year. It's Monday. Winter Meetings really hasn't even officially started yet. I mean, there was some Hall of Fame stuff last night, which we'll get into. But so far, lots of activity, and we've just started here.
Yeah. Like so many things. You mentioned last year, like we're waiting for Ohtani. I mean, really, the Pirates were the aggressor that they traded for Marco Gonzalez. We had all kinds of Marco Gonzalez talk on last year's Starbucks. This year, not so much. You know, I guess the Pirates were just out of Juan Soto's $765 million deal for 15 years. But like you said, I'm impressed. Like this Winter Meetings technically starts today, and we've had how many moves already happened so far this weekend, and especially like yesterday, capping off with Juan Soto's 15-year, $765 million deal. What a way to kick off these Winter Meetings.
Yeah, I hear the Pirates came in second.
Yeah,
they were like $764 million off,
and they just didn't want to have the opt out.
They threw in. They were trying to sweeten the deal with like a giant eagle cookie card, and they couldn't get it done.
Which, by the way, I mean, we brought that up jokingly yesterday. The cookie card, I missed that. I'm just putting out there. I enjoyed the cookie card.
The cookie card was great.
I took much advantage of that. But yeah, so the Pirates not in, and we're out officially on Juan Soto. I mean, as most years, mostly everything Pirates related. Like I haven't heard anything that the Pirates are actually in on. There's been a lot of dominoes that have taken place. Again, obviously Juan Soto's out. That was never really an option. But Michael Conforto gone. Tyler O'Neill gone. When we had like our preview show of like the players like the Pirates could get and should go after this offseason, there's two of them.
Yep.
So they're gone. And as you mentioned about the Hall of Fame, the Cobra is in. So like there is some Pirates related news per se, not all of them the best, but hey, let's just start with the Cobra. You know, we did have like a little emergency show last night that he got in, but you know, Dave Parker is a Hall of Famer now. That's pretty big.
Pretty big, pretty cool. Yeah, last night they did the announcement here from the MLB Network studio stage, which is about 50 feet to our left right now. So yeah, it was pretty neat. We got to everybody gathered around when they did the announcement. Dick Allen also made it. They announced him first, and you know they said two people, and I was like, there's no way they've got Parker in this top two, because I said we had Jay on. Kind of broke everything down. Like, we love Dave Parker. We think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but this was a tough ballot for him to make it on. But he gets 14 of the 16 votes. Congratulations to him. He gets voted into the Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted on July 27th this summer in Cooperstown. So very cool. I mean, I think we talked last night, but Bill Mazeroski, pretty sure the last Pirate to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's been a bit. That's been about 20 years or so. So, yeah, very cool. Dave Parker's a Hall of Famer. You know, it's long overdue.
Right. Who do you say? He's been waiting 15 years to talk his shit, basically, and he talked it. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, like you said, like really, really cool that he is since Mazeroski, and like not to poo-poo in this segment, but you know, related to Pirates fans and such, we talk about, I mean, we know the MLB economics, we know how the Pirates operate. when's the next time that there's going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate even entertained to be a Hall of Famer? I mean, we realize that Kutch is probably the next person if he's there. Now, what I'll say is Dave Parker getting in helps Kutch's case, I feel like. But is it also going to be like we're waiting on Andrew McCutchen? You know, like, is it going to be when he's like 70 years old that he's going to get in or not? Right. You know, so like some of you that are watching right now might not be alive with Andrew McCutchen if he gets in. So like, when's the next Pirate we're going to see in our next lifetime? I don't know. So that's what makes this kind of cool. Like, Pirates fans can actually witness and be part of the celebration in Cooperstown for a different way this year. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, very cool. Jim Leland got in last year, so that was. I mean, he didn't go in as a Pirate, but very much a part of the Pirates history. Yeah, I mean, outside that, you're thinking. I mean, Russell Martin's on this year's ballot, but he's not going to get in. So yeah, you're probably thinking Andrew McCutchen's the next, realistic possibility. But we're probably going to go through this whole thing with Kutch too, or people are arguing for and against him. So.
Oh yes.
But no. Really, really cool moment last night for Dave Parker and his whole family.
And like you said, I want to bring up again. I mean, the 14 out of 16 votes was super impressive. I'm with you. We had all intentions of going live last night. If Dave Parker gets in, well, I guess not going live, but shooting content and such. But realistically, we felt like we're not really going to need to. The 7:30, 6:30 our time was going off. We're standing over there by MLB, and yeah, they go Dick Allen, and it makes sense. But there is just two. There's only one left. So I'm curious who that person's going to be. And they rattle off the career home runs, and my ears perked up. I was like, Jim? And they kept going. I was like, Jim? And I'm telling you, like, everyone was kind of stunned, and again, like, the fact that he made it was like, wow, like it happened. This is pretty awesome. But then you heard 14 out of 16. Like, that was super impressive. So it was overwhelmingly that they voted him in. It wasn't just by, he barely got it. They had to really, really fight to get this guy in there. And like you said, well, having Jay Jaff on, like, of course, a lot of Pirates fans are going to want him on. Like, we're not the market to talk about, right? There's going to be some bias. So you hear like a national perspective, the guy that really does this, he invented Jaws, and hearing his perspective, like, I get it. That 5-year stretch is really, really good, but is the overall perception of he is a Hall of Famer. Like, do we really want to diminish in some people's eyes the Hall of Fame by allowing him in? 14 out of 16 said yes. And again, we know probably Jay was not one of them. So it was only one other person.
Well, Jay didn't have a vote. So
oh, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, you needed 12 to get in. And yeah, with 14, he was comfortably in. And yeah, there's going to be a celebration in Cooperstown this summer. And I would imagine the Pirates do something, at PNC at some point to honor it as well.
Yep.
We already got the bobblehead last year, so we'll have to figure something out this year.
Yep. And to Doug, congratulations, buddy.
Congrats, Dougie Fresh.
Doug is very excited. We saw through text last night.
Doug was so happy last night. He was texting. He's like, I am going to Cooperstown. So yeah, I'm curious. I mean, Pittsburgh hasn't really had the chance to get to Cooperstown lately, and maybe the Pirates will have a decent contingency up there this summer.
Very, very much. So, yeah, Dave Parker in. That kicks off winter meetings. Hopefully, it's not the last of the news. But again, sorry, it is very early. There was a lot of news. I think it really started as far as like Pirates side kicking off with Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill goes to Baltimore on what, a 3-year. Of course, I'm gonna remember. Is it 3-year? No, not 39.
3-year, $49.5 million deal for Tyler O'Neill. Yeah, that was late Saturday night.
Yeah,
we found out about that one. And again, like, the Pirates weren't necessarily linked to Tyler O'Neill. It's not like we heard the Pirates associated with him in any way. But it was a name that made sense. The Pirates clearly have a need for corner outfielder. They have a need for power. Tyler O'Neill fit that mold. 3 years, $49.5 million. There is an opt-out in that deal following the 2025 season. But yeah, he goes to Baltimore, and that was really the first outfielder kind of in the Pirates range that we had talked about who got off the board this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. Any person we talk about, I mean, no one's actually been linked to the Pirates. There's been no talk about anyone in the Pirates, really. So, like, everything's going to be, like, speculation, like, who could fit for the Pirates. And so, yes, like, Tyler O'Neill wasn't that. We talked about Tyler O'Neill because he does bring that power threat. He should be. I mean, there's like the risk, right? So that's why he's probably going to be in the price point, even though he had like a 131 weighted runs created plus last year, I believe it was. I mean, it's a really, really good bat. But Jim, like we talked about, there's a little buyer's beware. I mean, it was what, 2 out of the 5 seasons already had that was like productive. I think it was just 3 that he had like an above average. How many seasons do you have in total? Actually,
So I mean, he's played 7 total
yeah.
seasons. He's only played over 100 games twice.
Right.
So like that's the issue. There is the the durability, the longevity. Can he do this over a full season? When he's healthy, he's been very good.
Right.
Last year playing 113 games, 31 homers. Yeah, like you mentioned, the weighted runs created plus in the 130s. 2021, his other season where he played it pretty much the entire year, 138 games, 34 homers, a 912 OPS. So like when he's healthy, he's one of the better bats in the game. The problem is being healthy, and
right.
Could the Pirates afford a risk like that? Ultimately, they didn't sign him. The opt out is interesting because we haven't seen the Pirates do an opt out ever. So you wonder if that was like a need that he had to have, like he had to have in that deal, and that's what caused us to get tripped up. But I mean,
or maybe that was the incentive.
Yeah, but I mean, we also, like I said, we at no point were the Pirates in or linked to Tyler O'Neill
that we know of.
That we know of.
Right.
No one reported that.
Right. So that's why, like I said, like when it happened, I was like, well, you know what? That's definitely one domino's off the board. But like, I'm kind of okay with this. I mean, again, all things fair. If the Pirates are going to make a move on somebody, I'd be okay if it wasn't Tyler O'Neill because they pivoted and made somebody else. This isn't me saying like, oh, they bit the bullet. They didn't go like they need to get somebody. I would rather have Tyler O'Neill than nobody, right? But what I was alluding to and still saying is like, there's still options out there they can go after, if they pass on him, because there is that risk. Like I said, there's 2 of the 7 years he's a 2-WAR player. 5 of the 7 he was under. There's only 3 of those years we had an above average bat. So like there is a lot of risk. Can the Pirates in your mindset afford to take that risk on him, or would you rather pivot somewhere else for like the same price point? And that's just where I was at. Like I would rather just, me personally, and that's what, again, I've been huge on Michael Conforto. So like them not getting Tyler O'Neill, they go into the Orioles, which also was kind of interesting. Tells me that Santander is probably gone. Right, they're not going to go back with him.
I would imagine he's gone. Yeah.
So he's safely on the market for someone to go after. Like I was kind of okay with that, because what if he does come in and he does play under 100 games and it's not good, and they're biting $16 million on a guy that's not performing? Again, we know how risk adverse they are. Is this going to cause future implications? Like, okay, well, we're just not spending any more money for free agents, because when we do, this happens. So again, like I didn't think he was the safest pick, but again, he comes with a lot of upside, and that's why he comes at 3 years, $49 million. And it's not a 3-year, $80 million deal or 60 plus, because of those risk injuries.
Yeah, I mean, $16.5 million annual value. That seems like it's something the Pirates could have done, right? There's nothing, I think, that causes the Pirates to say, oh, that's too much. But yeah, again, lots of red flags, and I think that's just the thing. Like when you get to the guys who the Pirates are going to potentially be in on, they're not going to be in on Santander. They're not going to be in on Juan Soto, obviously. They're not going to be in on Teoscar Hernandez, but these other guys who are in their range, they all have some sort of flaw, which is why they're in the Pirates range.
Right. And also with that said, like there's this part of me that still bites me. And like we heard a lot of this last year. Oh, these teams are overpaying for this guy. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. Well, you have to understand that's the rate. That's not too much anymore. When a guy goes for $16.5 million, right? When a guy goes for $17 million, guess what? That's the market. So to say you had, less than overpay, well, when everyone's overpaid and you sign nobody, you're left with nobody. So, the thing is, like, that's the going rate for a guy who has some warts. If you you're going like Teoscar Hernandez, who you're going to have to pay $20+ million, because he comes that assurance. There isn't a whole lot of risk involved in him other than some age, and he's showing right now that he's still performing at a very, very high level. So you're going to that next, group of tier guys. I mean, you're not finding a good bats for $10 million these days. So like you have to go out there and spend $15 million on a guy. And when you have some flexibility, like the Pirates that you think they should have, right? Like you can acquire someone for $15 million. So yeah, they missed out on Tyler O'Neill. Like I said, it was at the time I was like, it's okay. There's still options out there. But now, Jim, those options are slimming down quite a bit because Michael Conforto also did go last night. And I'm telling you, like when that happened, my heart did kind of sink a little bit. I was like, oh no, of course the Dodgers.
The Conforto news, that came out just before the Soto news.
Yeah. Maybe like an hour, but yeah,
like just before the Soto news. Yeah, that one was a bummer because Conforto seemed to fit the Pirates mold as far as like affordability. The upside of Conforto is very interesting. I think he has the potential to be a very good player, and his floor is still pretty high. And like we've talked about Conforto most of this offseason. It's just like a guy who, like, this guy just seems like he should be a Pirate. But yeah, he ends up signing with the Dodgers of all people. The Dodgers finally, get to land a free agent one of these days. So the Dodgers get Conforto for $17 million, 1-year deal, which is far and away more than what people were projecting him to get. I think most people were kind of in the 12-ish $12 million range for Conforto when it came to projections. So you mentioned, is this too much for a player? Well, I mean, no, somebody was willing to give him $17 million. So Michael Conforto is worth $17 million in this market. And again, that one stings a little bit because I feel like Conforto was probably my favorite choice of the realistic options for the Pirates.
Yeah.
Like when you look at that second tier of outfielders, I liked Conforto the best.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Like I said, at first when I think you brought him up a while ago, I was like, yeah, like, I know of Conforto, but I feel like there might be better plays. But the more I looked into him, I was like, I do really like him. He had the injuries in the past, but he's shown, yes, there was some, like, he was injured a bit last year, but like that wasn't like his injury woes. That's not like, oh, this is something that's gonna keep him off the field for next year. Where Tyler O'Neill has had significant injuries like throughout, and like he just can't stay healthy. Conforto had like the one major injury last year. He was injured as well, but like I don't look at him and say like he's injury plagued and like I expect him this year to probably play 100 games or less. Like you can make a case that he's going to play like 130 games this year. Like he's kind of been showing it, like he can do that. But like what really stood out to me is like the expected numbers. Again, like we talk about Tyler O'Neill. Well, some jokingly say he's a platoon player, which you could make that argument for. And if you have some, if you're a team of riches, you could afford him to be a platoon player. Pirates are looking every day, and his splits aren't that great. Michael Conforto actually hits both sides well. Both lefties and righties. He's really less much platoon free. He can be an everyday player. I have an alarm going off. It is Monday. So this is what I normally wake up for Starbucks, by the way. Let me turn all my alarms off. But like the expected numbers is what got me. Like when you look at him and Tyler O'Neill, you talk about upside. They actually were about the same. Like it seemed like Tyler O'Neill had a little bit extra more luck on his side, and Michael Conforto had a little less luck on his side. And again, I'm not saying that's just what separated them. Like Tyler O'Neill still has a bigger ceiling than Conforto for sure, but Conforto feels to me like he's safer, but also has the upside.
Yeah, Conforto also comes with the injury concerns, but you think he's played pretty much every game over the last 2 years, so you feel a little bit more comfortable with that. He missed all of 2022, but that was really it. Like he missed all of 2022. Like so but he's been healthy the last 2 years. He's been a productive hitter. This past season was a really good season for him in San Francisco. Yeah, he was a guy who I wanted. Like best case scenario for the Pirates, I was like, we come out of this offseason, we get like Conforto's our big free agent signing, and then we add to that. But Yeah, Conforto signed. I haven't even seen some of this money's deferred, DiNardo, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. Some of this 17
No way.
some of this 17 million is deferred. There's a signing bonus included as well with that. But yeah, total money, $17 million. It's yeah, this one was a little frustrating because now you start looking at the list of free agent outfielders and who is available. And the one thing the Pirates need to do is they need at least one corner outfielder. That's if they plan on keeping Brian Reynolds in one of those spots. But they have to sign or trade for a corner outfielder. Like it's not something that's like a nice to have. It's a must have. They have to do this thing. They have no one to play one of their corner outfield positions. I mean, there's technically bodies, but no one that you can actually trust putting in there and penciling in the lineup right now. So like this is a necessity for them. They have to get somebody. And so now with O'Neill and Conforto off the board, those are those two top names that were in that bracket that you could realistically see the Pirates go after. But now you're looking at names like, again, Santander and Teoscar Hernandez probably not in the picture. If they are, we'll be super excited. We'll go live here, and you'll see me. If we sign one of those two players, you'll see me go down.
You're going down the slide, right?
Go down the slide. But outside that, you've got Jerickson Profar, who comes with a qualifying offer. So I don't think the Pirates have ever signed a free agent with a qualifying offer attached to them.
Well,
so that would be
right.
That would be unprecedented. But then you're looking at guys like Jock Peterson, who is he even an outfielder? Like he doesn't play the out. I don't think he played a single game in the outfield last year.
He didn't. And it's very likely he's not.
Yeah. So then you start looking at, okay, Alex Verdugo, Jesse Winker, Max Kepler. That's the remaining guys that you can kind of hope for right now. And I don't know, none of those guys excite you in any way. Like I think I'd be fine with Verdugo. I'd be fine. Like I've talked about Kepler. I think Kepler makes sense on this team, but
sure.
But not as your marquee signing. I would have liked to have something else there. And Winker, again, like is fine. But again, none of these guys are exciting, which puts the Pirates in a little bit of a bind now, puts Ben Cherington in a bind because, like I said, they still need to fill that spot. So do you fill it with one of those guys and be underwhelmed? Or do you have to make a trade? Like I'm feeling more and more now like the Pirates have to make some sort of trade this offseason in order to address these needs that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the operative word was, you said trust. Like there are bodies. Theoretically, there's Nick York. There's Billy Cook. Hey, there's our old friend Jack Sawinski that's still there. Can he bounce back and turn it around? But I don't. I know you don't. Don't trust going into 2025 with this is the second year of Paul Skeens and his limited, window. Like the window is here. You have to get competitive this year. You have to go out there and try to really compete. And can you do that with those guys we just mentioned? You probably don't feel safe, especially when there's like 6 other question marks on the offense. Like outside of O'Neill Cruz and Brian Reynolds, like who do you actually really trust still? So you are looking for, you say marquee, like I think there's gonna be a lot of people if like Michael Conforto was the guy. I think there's still be a lot of Pirates fans going, like honestly, there probably was. Like if it's not Santander or someone, like that's what's going to excite them. For us, we would have been excited for Conforto. The guys that you just mentioned now, like the Keplers and the Winkers, like to me, it was like a Conforto and one of those is like 1A, and then those being a 1B makes you feel good. And then because that could allow Brian Reynolds to shift to first base, and like you're starting to make some sense with this, but we've heard rumors. We don't know from them yet either, but there's been some rumblings that the idea is Brian Reynolds will actually play some first base this year. So if he is, and that leaves only really O'Neill Cruz as an outfielder, and it's one of those guys like you said, like Kepler, like who is the other guy? It's like you're saying, like if Brian Reynolds is going to play first, you do need 2 guys. It's not just one. If the intention is they're not putting him at first, then you need a first baseman and an outfielder, right? So like you still need 2 guys. Is what position? So yeah, like that's what's worrisome about missing out on like the O'Neills and the Confortos, because like Max Kepler could be the 1A.
Yeah, it's concerning, and it just limits your options now. That's all. And because whenever you say, okay, well, now we need to pursue a trade, it takes another willing party to be able to do that. And you've got to be able to have the pieces to make that happen. There's a lot of speculation out there that, the Rays are trying to shed salary. And so, you look and see what they have. And Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau are definitely interesting options. So, is that maybe a potential trade partner? The Orioles, especially with signing Tyler O'Neill, maybe they've got some expendable options as well. It's going to be interesting to see what Ben Cherington does, but he's got to do something because options are coming off the board. They're coming off the board quicker than they did last year. And, before we know it, we could be at the end of today and 2 other outfielders are off the board. And then, that limits the option. So, they're going to have to figure something out here, whether that's, I floated out the idea that maybe they're thinking, because I think they've got some pieces that they like, but they don't want to play them every day. And the problem with the Pirates, though, is they really could use an everyday player. They could use somebody that they don't have to platoon. And that's why Conforto was so intriguing to me, is because you could have thrown him out there every single day. Right now, these other options, they're more platoon guys. Like, do you want Max Kepler starting 30 times versus left-handed pitchers? Do you want
not really
Jesse Winker starting against left-handed pitchers? Like, these are mostly platoon guys that we're talking about, which means you need another half of the platoon. And I think the Pirates have guys on their roster who I'm okay with them throwing them out there against left-handed pitchers, but like, they need to get somebody who can hit right-handed pitchers. Right now they're not there.
Yeah, Jim. Like, you're hitting on the nail right now. Like, there's just a lot of platoon guys on the team, and not a lot of, and it's only a 26-man roster. Like, you can't hold 18 hitters. right, one for each side. So yeah, like, there comes with these, like again, like we talk about Billy. Sorry, I was going the whole McKinney route. Oh my god! But we have Billy Cook, and like, again, like,
please show Billy McKinney again.
I was about to say McKinney. I was like, oh dear God, because we just talked about him last night, and why do we do that? I don't know. But yeah, like, there is Billy Cook, and like, there's some things that intrigue you with him, but it's not like, nothing intrigues me about him as like, oh, this guy's going to be good. It's, he has really good defense, and maybe he can be Connor Joe. That's a very limited ceiling for him that you're hoping to have. Like Nick York, we did talk about him last week on It's Not Live a little bit with the article, and like, there's some things that excite you about him, and hearing, but like, there's still a clear cap. Like, he has no power. Like, what positions can he really excel at? So the guys that are on the team that have like some of this intrigue we talk about still has very limited ceilings. And right, like, they're probably more platoon type players, if anything, right? Again, like Connor Joe was. If you do Billy Cook, did Connor Joe, you're probably not getting a good player, and everyone's going to hate Billy Cook the way they hated Connor Joe, because they're using him in a way that he can't succeed. So, you want to go out there and get some everyday players, whether it's in a corner or first base. But again, this isn't like the end of the world because 2 guys are just gone, but 2 guys are gone. Like, as it keeps narrowing and narrowing, the options are more limited. And again, like, the thing about this offseason and this roster right now is there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of things to be filled, and you can get creative in all of them. Again, these are just 2 outfielders. They still have trades they can do. Like, there's still first baseman you can get, like, whatever, but there is a lot of ways they can improve. But again, with that, we're talking because there's a lot of ways they need to improve.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because like I said, they have the ability to get creative with some stuff. I'm kind of in the line of thinking now, if you're not going to get Conforto, then I'm just leaving Brian Reynolds in the outfield. Like, I don't want 2 of these other guys. I don't want the Pirates to sign Jesse Winker and Max Kepler. Just go out there and stick Brian Reynolds in the outfield every day again. Address one of the corner outfield spots, and then go get like a real first baseman, whether that's via free agency or via trade. Probably via trade is most likely. But I think that's kind of the boat I'm in right now. Like, unless they can swing a deal for a corner outfielder, the free agents left, just, I don't want 2 of them.
Right. Yeah, and that's what throws everything off. I mean, again, like, we're only looking at free agents right now because that's what's available. That's who is available. You can go after, right? Just by using cash, not prospect capital. But you very well could sign Max Kepler, make a trade for a corner outfielder, and then at that point in time, we're saying, oh, well, the trade was the 1A, and that trade is actually really good. I like this player even more than Conforto. So, I am happy now. Is that going to happen? We don't know yet. That's what we're waiting for. But again, like, who is actually available and can be gone after us right now is the outfielders and free agent market. And like you said, like, I'm with you. I don't look and say, like, if again, we don't see Profar being realistic. You don't see Santander or Teoscar Hernandez. Like, of the rest of them, like, I don't look at if they got two of those unless they're really, really getting a really good first baseman also and something, or they swing some ridiculous trade and it's like, oh, we weren't looking to up. Like, hey, again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Like, they went out and got a third baseman. Like, they somehow or another, they moved on and got this really good like, they upgrade somewhere else that we're not expecting. It's like, okay, now this all makes sense when the complete thing's done. We might be talking differently, but yeah, this moment again, if they get Max Kepler, let's not get Winker. Also, let's find something else and right, like, let's put Brian Reynolds in right field. We talked about a little bit. Let's find a first baseman, and then maybe you can start looking at this team a little bit better.
Yeah, well, if there's any place to get a deal done, it's here. It's a pretty cool atmosphere. It's my second time at winter meetings, which is fun. Sundays, I think Sunday is always like before the meetings actually happen. Sunday is my favorite day. It was a fun day yesterday. Got to see everybody coming into town. Got to meet up with some people that we know. It was the bar was hopping late last night. That's why we're a little sleepy this morning because we're on Central Time and we were at the bar here until midnight. So. But no, it should be a cool environment. There's obviously everyone in the baseball world is here. So hopefully we got some news coming in the next few days that addresses some of these needs because we need to do it. like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They've got to do something this offseason. They've got to raise payroll a little bit. They've got to give some help to this pitching staff who, by all accounts, is very good. Like, this is a really good starting rotation this team has, and now it's Ben Cherington's job to fill in around it.
Yep. Yep. And I just touched on something too. Like, there's going to be more to this winter meetings. Like, of course, we want to see the improvements on the actual team, but we will find out also, like, when the Pirates draft. So we'll talk about that. That could be exciting news. We'll find out. We'll see how excited they are when they get. And there's also the Rule 5 draft. So there's other things that are happening this winter meetings that we'll be able to discuss and talk about that's Pirates related, even if they don't do anything. But hopefully there is some action that happens that we can talk about in a big way. But again, like, at any rate, the winter meetings, it's on fire. Like, I've noticed, I think we all have, like, it just seems like the offseason in MLB keeps dragging out longer and longer and longer. And the winter meetings have been something that, like, this is where it sparks and all kinds of moves happen. And it seems like recently, like, nothing happens. Maybe some discussions, they leave and they go home, and you're not seeing signs until like mid-December start. And they're going through like February almost, it seems. And right, like, we've had a plethora of action already happen, and officially today starts the winter meeting. So that makes me feel encouraged. And again, not necessarily the Pirates side, but just in general, things are happening. And also, we know, like, typically it is the big dogs that hold up the rest, right? Well, the reason why we can is we got to wait for Juan Soto to fall, and then we can start getting the pieces. Well, like, all those pieces have fallen. Willie Adames is in San Francisco. Juan Soto, the pieces are falling. So, now the people are fighting for the leftovers. The action's there. It's going to start.
Yeah. Well, the important thing there is, so when I was getting ready for the show, I was looking over like last year's winter meetings, and nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. Juan Soto did get traded at like the very end of it,
but actually on Thursday,
so
when they were over.
Yeah, so at the very end, like when everybody was gone, Juan Soto got traded. But like really nothing happened because everyone was waiting. Okay, let's see what happens with Ohtani, and then we'll start moving to our plan Bs, and then plan Bs became plan Cs. So that's where the movement started, was after Ohtani signed. But now you got Soto signing last night. You've got Adames signing this weekend as well, which we didn't talk about that. But with Adames signing, that's the it's a big shortstop off the board. So you've got the bigger names, they're gone now, which means it should open up the door for everything else to happen. So yeah, I'm expecting these winter meetings to kind of continue to stay pretty hot. Last year at the end of the winter meetings, it was so dead that like when I was Google searching, 2023 baseball winter meetings, half the articles were just like, should baseball put a transaction deadline in place? And like,
yeah, right,
there were
right.
people like, we need to force them to make moves because no one's doing anything. Like last year, people were upset at winter meetings because everybody felt like they went to winter meetings and to cover stuff and just nothing happened. That's not the case here. Just last night, I mean, this place was buzzing last night with the Soto news. At one point, I saw John Heyman sprinting down this hallway
Yes.
behind me, like he was in a suit, just running.
If you saw him on MLB Network last night talking about Soto, I'll tell you, the second he was off, he was sprinting right past us,
like literally like running. I'm like, where is John Heyman going? But so yeah, it was wild here last night. Like a lot of stuff was happening. It was like I said, everyone was out, everybody was talking, which is the complete opposite of how it was. Like last year, everybody was just like, I'm so bored.
They were out. They just weren't.
Yeah,
they were buzzing in another way.
Yeah, but no, this year seems like a completely different vibe. So yeah, I said that people are naming names here in the comments as far as people who may be available via trade, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams who are looking to make moves. So I'm just some names I'm shouting from the comments here. Yastrzemski, Tristan Cassis, Jake McCarthy from the Diamondbacks. So like players like that, maybe they're available, and some of those names I'm higher on than others, but I feel like there's going to be more to come here in these next few days because everybody was waiting on Soto, which now they can, like the teams who missed out on Soto can go get their guys, just like the Dodgers got Conforto. So you're going to start seeing, maybe that Santander goes to the Yankees, and then you just start seeing all the dominoes fall. That's what this is all about. Should see a whole lot this week.
Yep. And who knows too? Like those are the guys you're mentioning right now that you think could be available, but maybe a team signs someone and it allows another one of their players to become available because they want to move on. So yeah, that's what's going to be interesting. I think I'm with you though. The trade market's going to, like we've anticipated. He's going to have to make a trade for someone anyways, just because you have all this depth in the pitching. It just makes sense. But now I feel like it's even more of a need to make a trade, whether that's like a Bailey Falter, Luis Ortiz, who knows? I know people are wanting to get Jared Jones, maybe Mitch Keller, but to me, like those are like, if it's a really, really good baseball move or really, really good bat, I don't anticipate any of those two going. Yeah. I think it's more of like the Luis Ortiz, Bailey Falters, maybe some prospects and such in that sense. But yeah,
I would be very surprised if Mitch Keller or Jared Jones gets traded. If that's happening, then you're talking about a marquee deal. Like those people are only getting traded on a trade that interrupts MLB Network programming, like that sort of deal. Those are big deals if you're trading guys like that.
Well, it seems like a lot of Boston fans want Jared Jones.
Like
this whole like Boston cast or Tristan for Jared Jones. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would temper your expectations. I don't think the Pirates are trading Jared Jones anytime soon. It would take a very large return to get a cost-controlled pitcher who's that effective over over the next 5 years. I don't see it happening. But the other guys, right? Bailey Falter could certainly be attractive to a team. We've already seen like what pitching is going for this offseason. A lot of pitchers are off the board and they're expensive. So a number 5 starter like Bailey Falter can give you 140 innings and pitch, 4.5 ERA. Teams are interested in guys like that, especially when they're cheap. So Bailey Falter, Luis Ortiz, I think are 2 guys who you could certainly entertain offers on and address needs on this team. But yeah, like Jared Jones, not happening. Mitch Keller, those trades aren't happening unless you're getting blown away, really.
Yeah. That to me also sounds like a little desperate. Like if things are desperate, you're entertaining Jared Jones, and I hope they're not desperate.
Well,
I'll
and
say that.
in Keller's instance, you're probably only trading him because he's freeing up a bunch of money too. So like if you're trading Keller, you're probably trading him so you can spend money on somebody. And it's like, who are you going to spend money on now?
Santander.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like I don't see that happening. So
Right.
yeah, I would not expect that big of a trade. I wouldn't expect like any of the major prospects to go. But I mean, I could see the Pirates moving like a Braxton Ashcraft,
Oh, for sure.
or even maybe Thomas Harrington. Like that's probably like the top guy that you'd be comfortable dealing. But I think if they're going to trade somebody, it's going to be someone from that major league depth, like Ortiz or Falter.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm with you. Like Bubba Chandler to me is untouchable. He's not going anywhere. My point of view, and again, this isn't me speaking for the Pirates or anything at her, but like to me, any prospect outside of him, pitching wise, should be on the table because there is a plethora. Like you don't want to lose Thomas Harrington. There's a lot of intrigue there. He's already in AAA. Like he's on the cusp of making the majors and such. But if that's the price you have to pay, because you still have Ashcraft, you still have like this has become somewhat of a pitching factory we talk about. And like we don't say that totally in jest. I mean, there's one thing you can really stamp this team for right now. It's they produce pitching. You know, as far as prospects, like there's a pitching pipeline. So you can afford to lose a Thomas Harrington, you hope, if it makes sense. Like this makes sense because it helps the Major League Baseball team, you know, hopefully for the hitting side, right? So like I'd be perfectly okay with that. Like it's going to hurt and sting a little bit because like, hey, that's Thomas Harrington, and I kind of like the guy. He's intriguing. He seems like a pretty good pitcher. But there's Bubba Chandler right there. Like you already see the Major League staff. You already see the depth that's there. There's Bubba Chandler that's going to be coming up here soon, and God, we're excited for him. And like there is Ashcraft if he can stay healthy, and there's still other guys that are coming up. So like yeah, there's reasons why if you go ahead and trade like a Thomas Harrington, you're okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Harrington, like I said, I think Harrington's probably the highest prospect I'm trading if I'm the Pirates.
Yeah. Pitching wise.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, everything's on the table at this point. Like you have Paul Skeens for 5 more years. That, I mean, plain and simple, that's the story. Like you've got Paul Skeens for 5 more years tops. So do what you can do to surround him with as much talent as possible. And if someone's going to help you 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, that's just simply not as important as someone who can help you right now.
Because right now is not only important for just like this Pirates team that we're talking about this window, but like jobs. Again, that's why I feel like there has to be some urgency because realistically, again, our point of view on things, this is a very important offseason for Ben Cherington because this is what's going to set up the 2025 season. If the 2025 season isn't successful, does Ben Cherington have a job in 2026? You know, it's like that's why this is so important.
Yeah, I mean, I yeah, if Ben Cherington doesn't win this year, he's gone. Like there's no way you can hang on to a 7th-year general manager who's coming off of 6 straight failures of seasons.
2 of them with Paul Skeens.
2 of them with the best pitcher in baseball. Yeah, so no, I mean this is it. This is it for Ben Cherington. This is it for most of this front office. This is it for this coaching staff. So, yeah, I mean, there needs to be urgency in this offseason because, yeah, jobs are on the line. Yeah. Jobs are on the line. They're like this is you're now walking into territory, especially having Skeens, where like you can't wait anymore. You can't. It's now or you're gone.
Which is also why like, I am a little bit more optimistic this offseason that like something will happen, right? Because like again, it just simply has to. You can't play the excuse of like, oh, 2026 was always the year. Like, no, it never was. It was not 2026. You didn't get hired in 2019 talking about 2026, right? That's not what got you the job. So yeah, like it has to. Like it simply has to. Things have to come together this year, or there's gonna be people without jobs. So I'm sure that's on their mind. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plan comes to fruition. But again, like right now we're talking about that's some free agents that we're looking at that aren't going to be a Pirate this year.
Yeah, when I mean, again, these guys are working for their jobs right now. There's no more leeway. There's no more wait and see. There's no more 10,000 projections. This doesn't like this. This is you've got to win this year, no matter what. There's no excuses at this point.
Yeah. So let's enjoy the ride. because I feel like it's going to be a hell of a ride this year.
Yeah. Yes, I should be. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this week. It's been a great first day yesterday. Lots of stuff should be coming. We've got Roll 5 draft later this week. We've got the draft lottery coming up this week. So we'll be here for that. If anything big happens, we'll immediately, put something out there for you guys. If we are going to be planning on just every day doing a quick daily recap at the end of the day. If you haven't, we hopped on, recorded a little video last night after the Dave Parker announcement. So go check that out if you haven't. But yeah, I'm excited. We're here. Stuff's happening, and should be a lot of fun this week.
Yep. You talk about we'll be definitely having some content out there. You've already written a letter to Santa, right? You wrote a letter to Santa, so that has happened in the winter meetings as well. We'll see if Santa answers.
So last year in Nashville, they had this big gingerbread house exhibit, and my joke the whole time was, Ben Cherington's too busy making gingerbread houses. He can't possibly make any baseball moves. Well, this year, guys, let me tell you, they've got a Santa's workshop. They've got a place where you can write a letter to Santa Claus and you mail it to him. There's a little mailbox you can stick it in. There's a fake snow slide with tubes that you can get into. So yeah, I think
we will be on the slide.
I'm pretty excited to go down the slide.
We're trying to get other beat writers as well.
I would love to go down that slide at some point. I did see yesterday, it was mostly kids going down the slide, but I saw one adult. So I think we're good. I think we can go on the slide.
We have no shame.
I think we can go on the slide. Yeah, as you can see, it's all lit up behind us with Christmas lights and stuff. So it's there's a 60-foot nutcracker just to the left of us. So yeah, it's very festive here.
So I'm pausing a little bit because when Jim said this at first, I was like, remember back at the beginning of the show, he's like, the stage is about 50 feet away from us, the MLB. I'm just kind of judging your usage of feet, because if that's 50 and that's 60.
Hold on. Okay, let me say that. The stage is maybe 90 feet away.
Only off by 40 feet.
That nutcracker is if you're talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a 60-foot nutcracker.
That's not 50. Anyways, we're getting off topic here, but Jim can't judge distance.
That nutcracker is 3 stories tall.
It is. It's a big. So here's the thing with that too. We'll show you around a little bit too. We have some thoughts. Hey, you know what? I do have the Meta Bayrans, so I do have all intents of walking around the winter meetings wearing them, so you guys can get my point of view. But yeah, it's not like last year's winter meetings in Nashville. I mean, that place was ginormous, so nothing's going to top that. This is underwhelming per se, compared to that, but a lot of cool stuff. So we'll definitely take you guys on a little tour per se, get you some winter meetings experience. And like you said, we're going to go live often. We'll maybe have some Q&As, daily wrap-ups. We'll talk about the Roll 5 draft. We'll talk about the MLB draft itself, where the Pirates rank. And then, of course, if anything happens. So, of course, make sure you're staying tuned. Subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and turn on the bell for all alerts. So when we do go live, you're aware, because it's going to happen often and sporadically at times for the next 4 days. So I guess, yeah, with that, is there much more else you want to discuss and talk about?
No, let's do something. Ben, if you're watching, do something. Do something today.
If there's anything positive, again, we're stupid. We're nuts. We were here at 6 a.m. doing this recording. We're doing it in the lobby. And Jim, there was 3 people in this lobby.
They were still wiping the floors. The caution wet floors signs were up, but it's starting to pick up a little bit. There's a little bit of a hustle and bustle.
But again, there was 3 people in this lobby. It was 2 Pirates podcasters and a person of the Pirates front office.
Yeah, as we were sitting here, there was literally about, and then that's judging on my thing, on my measurements here. 90 feet away. You know, they're
So it's 300 yards.
Pirates front office member just
So nothing but
watching us,
Pirates
basically.
related.
Yeah.
So listen, like something's it's just that's a sign. I jokingly said last night, early bird gets the worm, and you know what? We proved it today. The Pirates vibes are high.
But no, you're right. I guess the first person we saw, he was here before us.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. So there it is. Very eager. Very eager. Things are going to happen. It's a sign.
Do it, Ben. Do it, Ben.
Cheers. All right, let's get out of here then. So everyone, appreciate you guys for watching as always. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button. Go ahead and get the alerts on so you know when we're going live. And do all the fun stuff. And we'll be talking to you in like, I don't know, 7 minutes probably.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.